locked in to the Sounds Like Fun podcast.
It don't matter underground or the mainstream. We taking over everything, American dreams. Make a move, long nights to the light beams. Urban Stone, we the motherfucking A-team. I go crazy on this track, man, I spit dope.
What's going on, world? Welcome to another episode of the Sounds Like Fun podcast. I'm your host, Serial Sensei. As always, you can listen to this podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, Google Play, all that good stuff. It is located under my main hub, which is actually the Dojo Talk podcast, where I discuss mixed martial arts, combat sports, all that good stuff. But I keep everything in one centralized location, so you're not scattering around, to a bunch of different places to listen to one podcast. So, give me a subscribe, give me a follow, all that good stuff. We'll greatly appreciate it. And last note, you can buy my book, The Oddball Chronicles, for the very fair price of 99 cents. Or if you're more of a paperback person, you can also buy that as well for $8.99. And if you have read it, or if you want to read it and you're going to read it, we definitely appreciate it if you left a review on the Amazon page. They help out a lot. I'm currently at 8 reviews with an average of about 4.7 out of 5. Help me get them numbers up. So if you have read it, leave me a review. And if you haven't read it, go buy a copy, leave a review. Help me out. Put a smile on my face. My birthday is next month in May. For my birthday, I just want some reviews. So let's, help your boy get a head start on that. But that's the intro spiel. It's been a little bit since I reviewed an album. It's been a slow music year so far, or at least slower compared to last year, where there was like a new project like every other day. It became a task to try to keep up to everything. I've honestly just kind of been catching up still on albums from last year, but I've still been listening to some new projects. So, I will slowly roll out reviews as I see fit. I don't review everything I listen to. I have to really want to talk about the album to review it, which is pretty much what led me to what I will be discussing today. But before we get to that, before we get to the music, unfortunately, man, gotta start this podcast off on a sad note, on a somber note. I'm pretty sure, as you guys have heard by now, hip-hop community, we lost one the other day, man. We lost one yesterday. So just rest in peace, rest in power to Nipsey Hussle. I don't know. I don't want to spend too much time on this because this conversation could go in so many different ways, and this episode ain't the time or the place for that. But just rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle. Just really, really unfortunate to lose anybody, but it stings a little extra when it's, I wasn't even really much of a fan of his music. I didn't really listen to it all that much. Not saying I thought he was whack. I just honestly never really gave him much of a listen. But I feel like all of the things I heard about him were outside of music. Like all of the things he was trying to do in terms of business ventures he had, the clothing store he owned. It seemed like he was really forward thinking in terms of really trying to get artists, not even just artists, just people in general, in his community, in the black community, and pretty much inner city, any, minority community, trying to get people to be more, financially aware, trying to just really put them in a good place. And it was, it just stings a little because this was a guy who was clearly he was doing it. A lot of people talk about, I want to do X, Y, but it seemed like with him, it wasn't just I want to do this. He was actually out here doing the work, taking the steps, really, trying to help his people out, trying to help out his community, really putting people on. He was sharing the knowledge that he had with everyone in hopes to really just push the culture forward, push his people forward, try to just raise everybody up with him. He was seeing a lot of success, and it's just unfortunate because we lost him it seemed like at his peak. I know that Victory Lap album was doing really well for him. A lot of people liked it. I think he got nominated for a Grammy. Like, he was really on a good wave, and it really just kind of sinks your heart when you see somebody who was he had such a good wave going, and then just like that, like it's all gone in just one moment, one fell swoop. He's murdered outside of I think he was outside of like the clothing store that he owned, and it sucks, man. But I did see a clip earlier this morning of a lot of fans and supporters came out, I guess, to the place which I guess was pretty much his clothing shop, and they, people bought candles, but it was cool to see people like celebrating his life, like they were playing his music and everybody singing along, and it was a huge crowd of people. That was awesome to see. Like, people really came together to just kind of celebrate his life, keep his memory going. Especially so soon after it just happened, because I know a lot of people really kind of messed up about it. So that was awesome to see people come together. And I think in moments like that, that's the most you can ask for. We lose a life of a person who obviously meant a lot to people, but you celebrate the life, you keep the legacy going, and hopefully keep pushing forward with the work he was trying to do. Especially a lot of what I read of him, I was very much so behind, but especially in terms of like putting people in financial power, just really spreading knowledge to the people in the community who really, really need it, people who really need to do better economically. He was really trying to lay that groundwork and kind of be a beacon and just kind of light the way for people is what it seemed like he was doing. So, but yeah, man, we lost one, but keep the memory going, keep the knowledge going. His mission, I don't think should stop at his death. I think everybody can learn from what he was trying to accomplish, and we can pick up the baton and just kind of keep it rolling, man. I think that's what he would probably want people to do. So rest in peace, man, to Nipsey Hussle. Really just unfortunate situation, man. You hate to see headlines like that, but life is it's crazy, man. It's crazy. But like I said, man, rest in peace, rest in power to Nipsey Hussle, and condolences to family, friends, and I want to say he did have children. Just everybody who knew him has been impacted by him. Just rest in peace, man. Rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle. But now that we got that out the way, it's kind of pick the feelings up a little bit. Let's talk about some music, man. So today, the album that I will be reviewing and discussing is Little Simz. Well, she's the artist, Little Simz in the area. The album is entitled Gray Area. Little Simz is a rapper from the UK. To be honest, I don't really know a ton about her. I actually had a friend, shout out to my homie Rich, aka Bobcat Goldwave. He put me on to her. He's probably the first person I knew who like even ever mentioned her to me, and that was years ago. And I checked her out just kind of based on his word, and I liked what I heard, but I never did like too much of a deep dive of her music. She has 3 albums out, including this one. I can't remember what the first album she had. It came out around like 2015. And then in 2017, she had Stillness in Wonderland. And then obviously this year we get Gray Area. But like I said, at first I just checked out a few tracks of hers. But the first album of hers I actually paid attention to was 2017, her album Stillness in Wonderland, which was, I don't think I listened to the entire album, but from the cuts that I did hear, it actually was really good. So I'll go on a limb and just recommend people give that a listen. But that's kind of all I had going off her. Didn't know much of her background other than she's just a rapper from the UK. That's all I got. I don't got much else for a background story. But I enjoyed what I heard from Stillness in Wonderland. So when I heard Gray Area was coming out, and then when it came out, I was like, let me give this a listen. And aside from wanting to check it out, it's like I said, it's been a slow music release this year, so I was kind of just looking for some new music to listen to, and I figured this would be something worth checking out. So here we are with Little Simz, Gray Area. Pretty short album. Clocks in at 10 tracks. So really quick listen. Like I said, I didn't have many expectations coming into this album. I just wanted to listen to it and see really what she had, because she's not someone I really follow too closely. So I wasn't sure what I was really getting when I put this on. But I gotta say, after listening to this a good, I don't know, I probably listened to this at least 4 to 5 times, because like I said, it's only 10 tracks, so you can get through this pretty quick. I haven't listened to a lot of albums this year, but this might be like top 2, possibly 1, to be honest. Of all the new projects I've listened to this year, this is probably the one I've been returning to the most. Like I ended up enjoying this a lot more than I thought I would. Yeah, this album is this album's fantastic. It's really good. So let's get into some specifics. Production. That was really the first thing that stuck out to me about this album. And real quick, production credits. Not many. The majority of this album was produced by a gentleman, or I don't know if it is a gentleman, but a person named Inflo, Inflo. That Inflo seemed to do at least like 99.9% of the production on this album, and the only other 2 production credits I found from others was someone named Sigurd, Sigurd, and Astronaut. So shout outs to those 3, but like I said, it seems like Inflo really handled the bulk of this production, and boy, he did a great job. Actually, I can't say it's a he, because I looked up his name. I think his real name is like Dean something. But yeah, Inflo did a really, really good job of production on this album. It's a nice variety of sounds. The instrumentation it's variety. It's very well layered. You get a lot of different kinds of sounds. You get a nice like beat switch ups and transitions. The instrumentals give you different feelings. A lot of live instrumentation, whether you get like some bass guitars, drums, pianos. There's a lot in some of these tracks going on instrumentally, and I just like some of the different kind of moods that he was kind of able to create. I mean, like right out the gate with the first track, Offense, when you get like this really nice kind of dirty sounding like bass line. I'm probably messing that up, but when you listen to it, you'll get it. But it's just, as this really dirty feel to it, I really enjoyed that. The same with the second track, Boss. It's this really just grungy, dirty bass line. It almost has like this rock vibe to it, like a rockish influence, I would say, to those instrumentals. Not to throw shade, but I listened to some of Logic's album, that Supermarket, which was like the project he released along with his book that's titled the same thing. And like Logic kind of was going for that, like that alternative rock vibe, I guess. But to me, from the few songs I've listened to, because I honestly just didn't feel like listening to the whole album, but it just felt kind of flat. Like Little Simz did that on some of these songs, but she pulled it off, I think, the way Logic like wanted to. Like her sound much more authentic, much more raw. It's very well mixed, and like I said, you get a variety of sounds, man. On the track Venom, you get this really, really dark, symphonic, really like ominous beat. Then you get tracks like Selfish, which I wouldn't say it's a quote unquote radio song, but if there was like a radio friendly song on this track, it would probably be that one. Also along with, what's the other track called? 101 FM. I think those are kind of the more upbeat, just kind of, a bit easier on the ears in terms of production. But I just think it shows how much variety that Inflo has, and even with a variety of sounds, the album isn't like all over the place. Like everything really fits well together. And just really great use of just a ton of just different instrumentations and musical styles. Like on the track Pressure, the instrumental starts off, it's really just stripped back. All you get is just kind of this piano playing, and then like I said, with a lot of these tracks, I really love how the beat will start off one way, and then eventually it just becomes more layered, and he starts adding in other things and other instruments and like effects and stuff that's just going off in the background, and he really just creates just this crazy like soundscape for Little Simz to go over. And like I said, it's well mixed. The beat switches and transitions flow really well, and he knows how to craft a sound that just really captures like the mood of the song and what they're trying to get across. I can't really say enough about the production, man. Inflow did an amazing job on production on this album, top to bottom. Even tracks like I didn't really care for, I thought were still produced very well. Like dude did a just great job, man. Just really, I can't say can't say good enough things about how well I enjoyed the production, just how great it just sounded, and how well it was all just kind of put together to create this soundscape. Little Simz, if you've never heard of her, as I mentioned before, she is from the UK, so of course you're gonna have to deal with an accent, if that's the kind of thing that might hinder you one way or another. For me personally, it doesn't bother me with her. Like, she has the accent, but it's not like it's so thick that you can't really like understand what she's saying. Like, the accent's there, but it's not. It honestly, it doesn't really bother me. Like, I listen to her the same way I would listen to anyone else. You notice the accent, but you can still clearly understand what she's saying. The barrier is not that crazy. Not as opposed to like, I enjoyed Stormzy's album. What was it, Gang Signs and Prayers? With his album, there were like certain just words he would say where his accent was so thick that it was almost like off-putting. But I don't get that with Little Simz. Her voice sounds good on every track. The accent isn't really an issue. And just lyrically and flow-wise, she's really dope, man. She, like I said, you get a lot of different sounds on this album, and no matter if the song is a bit more like upbeat or abrasive, or if it's a little more chill and easy on the ears, she easily just kind of flows seamlessly, no matter what the track is trying to do, she's able to just find a pocket and just kind of fit into it. Like I said, on the track Boss, where it's a bit more grungy, a bit more dirty, she kind of gets like, she's really hype with her delivery, and I love that vocal effect they put on her voice on the hook, where she's like almost screaming. Like, she does just a good job of matching either like the intensity of the beat or like whatever mood the instrumental's trying to put you in. She does a good job of just fitting in that pocket. And she can spit fast, she can speed things up, she can taper it and slow it down. Just whatever the instrumental's calling for, I think she does it. So yeah, just on the delivery side of things, on the flow side of things, she's really good in terms of that. And lyrically, I like her lyrical like package as a whole, because she's not, I wouldn't like classify her as like a punchline rapper. Like, she's not hitting you with no like super crazy bars or crazy metaphors and similes that you can't keep up with. Not to say that like her style is like simplistic, but she's, to me, in my opinion, she's straightforward with what she's trying to do. She's not going over your head. It's not anything super intricate really going on. Like I said, her style is really straightforward. It's very blunt. You know what she's trying to tell you. It's not really a mystery as to what she's trying to get across, but what makes it just fun and interesting to listen to, for one, just the soundscape in which he's rapping over is great, and just kind of how she uses her delivery. She can do just a lot of different things to keep it interesting. Like I said, it's mainly, I think, the production. Like, she can fit in over all of these different kind of sounds, and it keeps things interesting. It keeps things entertaining. And it's not to say like she is a good wordsmith, but like I said, she's not like a Lupe or anything like that. It's much more straightforward, which I think is a good thing, because I feel like you could give this album to anybody, and as long as they're not a stickler for accents, like, you can pick this up and just kind of listen to it. it really teeters that line. It's a really good balance of being easily digestible, but not being like so simplistic that it's like, ABC rhyme structure, you know, you get what I'm saying. It's not overly simplistic. She really does a good job of that balance to where she can make a verse that, it sounds good, but it still has like artistic integrity to it. It's not like she's out here doing some simple ABC rhyme structures, like I said earlier. And she also does a good job of, on this album, it's very, in terms of like the themes and topics that she covers, really also great on that front, man. She can go on one track from being like really kind of like boisterous and really, I got my chest out, I'm feeling myself right now. And then on another end, she can get a lot more social and reflective with it. Some tracks on here, she dives into like issues within the black community, issues with the use, issues of gun violence, relationships, her own personal demons, and like the mental state that she's in. It's a good spectrum of topics, which matches the spectrum of instrumentals. And I just kind of keep going back to that because I just feel like this album is just like the perfect package of great instrumentation, great beats, good lyrics that match what the instrumentals are trying to do, and it all just really comes together for just a really awesome experience over, like I said, over just 10 tracks, but it definitely just works. So on the lyrical front, she's a good MC. On top of her content, I think just being easily digestible to like an average listener. Like, you don't have to be a quote unquote just a hip hop head to appreciate and understand what's going on in this album. I think anybody can pick this up and you can just get right into it because it's just so well crafted. I could I could go on, man. I can't say enough good things of just how much I actually enjoy listening to this, just from the beats to the lyrics to her flow to the topics. Just, she hit pretty much every nail on the head. And it just makes it better that it's only 10 tracks, so it's a quick listen. And through these 10 tracks, there aren't really a ton of filler. To be honest, out of the 10, I would say the only track that I really didn't care for was 101 FM. But that's still 9 out of 10. So, still a 90, still an A across the board. And also another good thing, which I didn't even mention, she doesn't have a ton of features on here, but the ones she does have work out really well. Cleo Soul did a great job on the song Selfish. Like I said, that's one of the more radio-friendly sounding songs on the album. And that hook is mad catchy. So Cleo Soul did a great job on that. Wounds featuring Chronics, that was a great job on that hook. Little Dragon was featured on the track Pressure. And Michael Kiwanuka, shout outs to him, man. He's another dope artist. I can't remember the name of his album, but give him a listen. Kiwanuka, spelled Kiwanuka. He's on the closing track Flowers, which actually I'll get into in a few. But features are well placed out. Only 4 of them. So you get a lot of Little Simz. You get a lot of what she's going through, her personal battles. You get kind of her story and who she is. So the features don't really like overcloud her. They're well spread out, so it doesn't feel like it's a bunch of features and then Little Simz. Like, this is definitely her project, her story, what she wants to talk about, and she just kind of brought in some other artists to kind of help just enhance what she was already doing. So great job, like I said, on production. Great job on picking features who really fit those tracks that she had them on. And just overall, just great song structure, beats, everything, man. The album's just dope. It's only so many ways you can say that this album is just really good. It's really, really good. So to get into some favorites, and there are only 10 songs, and like I said, outside of 101 FM, I pretty much like every song on here. But if I gotta pick a couple of favorites that I thought stood a little hands and neck above the rest, really the first like probably my favorites are like the first 5 of this album. This album starts off like with some fire, in my opinion. Offense is definitely a favorite. Opening track, really good start to the album. Like I said, you get this nice, just really dirty beat. I love the drums. I love that dirty bass guitar. And I love how the instrumental just becomes more layered as the track goes on. And I like it starts off, like I said, real boisterous, she's kind of real confident. I just like her overall, Little Simz, her demeanor on that track. Love the line, all I do is kill shit. Even when I'm chilling, I'm Jay-Z on a bad day, Shakespeare on my worst days. Like, she really had her chest out on that track. So Offense is definitely a favorite. The second track, Boss, is definitely a favorite. In a similar vein to Offense, I just kind of like that dirty, kind of grimy feel of the track, and it just has this really just raw energy to it that I enjoy. And I like that, like I said, that vocal effect that they put on her voice during the hook, where she's like screaming. That joint is hard. And like I said, I like how just really boisterous he sounded on the track. Just this real, like I said, sticking your chest out, man. Really just letting people know what the business is. So Boss is definitely a favorite. Wounds is another favorite of mine, featuring Chronics. One of the more serious tracks on the album, when she goes into detail about more about like the youth and how they've been badly influenced by just society, by gun violence, gun culture, and just kind of like how all of these things can culminate the demise of a young person depending on their influences and what decisions they make. So I enjoyed just the content on that track. Venom is another favorite song. Like I said, that really dark symphonic beat, and I like the way she flowed over it. Like I said, she can do that really fast flow. She just really does well of just kind of fitting in pockets on the beat and just kind of just really going. And another thing I didn't mention, I think like not an overall theme, but something else I picked on while listening to this. She definitely dives into like femininity. Did I say that right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. But she really addresses issues of like femininity and like being confident in it in this album. On the track Venom, a couple of bars where she says, "Fuck those who don't believe. They would never want to admit I'm the best here, even from the mere fact that I've got ovaries. It's a woman's world, so to speak. Pussy, you sour. Never giving credit where it's due because you don't like pussy and power." Venom. So it's just like little gems like that. And really, I should have mentioned it on the track Boss, where she's screaming like I'm a boss in a dress on a hook. Like she really like, talks a lot about femininity and being, her being confident in it while other people they don't like it because they may feel threatened one way or another. But she's really throwing it out there like, you just gonna have to deal with it. Like, I'm nice. Like it is what it is. So yeah, definitely enjoy Venom. That's a favorite. Therapy is another good track, where she really, like I said, another track where she's a lot more vulnerable and open. She talks about like her personal flaws and kind of the turmoil of going through like a bad breakup and just all of the heartache that has to deal with that. Loved like that airy effect that are on the vocals on the hook, and it's just a really honest and just kind of raw song, which you get throughout this album. Is she doesn't really pull punches or kind of hide how she's feeling. Like I said, she's pretty straightforward in what she's talking about. I love the little gem on Therapy when she says, "Sometimes we do not see the fuckery until we're out of it. Some people read The Alchemist and still never amount to shit." I thought that was a nice little subtle gem, especially that last part with the Alchemist part, because that's a book that a lot of people reference and talk about. So I just thought that was a really clever line. And the last track I'll say as a favorite will probably be Flowers, featuring Michael Kiwanuka. Just really great, awesome, like heartfelt closing track to the album. Really love the instrumentation on here. this track to me just perfectly embodies how well Inflow can just use instrumentation and just kind of create a certain vibe to a song. And Little Simz, goes over these beats and just complements them perfectly with the topic. Like that, it almost seems like the instrumentals were just like spoke to her and just let her know like what she needed to talk about. Because I feel like with every track on the song, the instrumentation matches with what the lyrics are. Like it all fits perfectly together. But Flowers is a really good song. Like I said, just really heartfelt closing track. I like on the first verse where she's kind of playing off of the whole theme of, a lot of the good die young, and specifically we lose a lot of greats at the age of 27. And she references people like Kurt Cobain, Basquiat, Jimi Hendrix, and she kind of talks about, at least what I got from it, kind of just how like, I don't know if poisonous would be the word, just kind of just, I guess the quote unquote like ills of society, if there's such a term, and just kind of how like that can just kind of really negatively affect somebody, and how we can lose people to just all of these just craziness that's going on in the world, and how it's just negatively affecting people. So I really dug that first verse, how she gave all of those, and she mentioned more than just those three. She gave a bunch of shout outs to people who died at 27, but I thought that was just kind of like a nice, I don't even know if you would call it an ode, but just a good mention in the first verse. And then she goes on for the rest of the track and really kind of dissects her own personal demons, just her own issues, whether it be personal or just things she's witnessing out in the world. And like I said, I always go back to production. Just great job of the vocal effects and just the overall like atmosphere of the track, and it comes together perfectly to just drive what she's saying home. Like you really feel it, just the way everything comes together. So I thought that was a really strong kind of like emotional closer to the album. And like I said, outside of 101 FM, I pretty much like every song on here. Like I said, Selfish, even though it is more radio friendly, it is really catchy. I think that's the one song on here that I guess if you like quote unquote mainstream, but I don't even know if it's really that. But it's a good like feel good track, I guess you could say. But yeah, that was cool. Pressure was good. Yeah, pretty much every track on here is good. If there's one, I guess, critique, like personal critique I would have on the album, I do feel like towards the second half, probably like, and this might not even really be 100% accurate. I felt like the second half of the album got a little more like emo-ish, I guess. And that's a minor, and I don't even know if that's honestly really correct. I might just be kind of grasping for straws, but I guess after just a couple listens, I kind of got that vibe that the second half of the album to me seemed a bit more emo, especially with like the relationship heavy topics. And I don't know, sometimes I just kind of don't really want to hear that, I guess. But as a minor gripe, if there was one negative I did really have to pull from this, because honestly, other than that, this album's dope. Like, it's really, really, really good. 10 tracks, amazing production. Little Simz is a great MC. She knows how to fit in the pockets, and just no matter what the beat is calling for, she sounds great over it. She can address many different topics. She does just a good job of just really keeping things interesting. And her and Inflow made some magic, man. This album it's awesome. It's really, really good. I would just be talking in circles at this point, but yeah, I've been returning to this a lot, and it was a joy to just put this back on again, to listen to it while I was taking notes for the review. Just great album, man. Little Simz, Gray Area. Give this a listen, man. If you haven't listened to any new projects in 2019 yet, make sure this is one of them. Only 10 tracks. You'll get through it really quick. Like I said, from top to bottom, man, just you get a little bit of everything. it's just fire. I don't know what else to say. In my opinion, the album is just fire. The only reason why I could see somebody not really liking this is if the accent thing for you is kind of something that you're not really like too big on, because everything else about this album is just, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Like I said, this is probably my favorite project of 2019 so far. It's definitely been getting a lot of replay, and it will probably continue to stay in rotation. Probably, I'm pretty sure throughout this year, because this joint is just good. It's just really, really just good. It's just good. It's great. Listen to it. that's the moral of the story. But yeah, Little Simz, Gray Area, awesome album, man. If you have not, I'll leave a link in the description on her SoundCloud page so you can give the album a listen. I think she put out a couple music videos for some of these songs, so you can check those also out on her YouTube page. But yeah, man, that's all I got. Little Simz, Gray Area. It is an awesome album, so please go listen to it. And as always, man, you can check me out on all of the platforms where podcasts are found: SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, Google Play. If you listen to the album, send questions, drop a comment, and make sure you buy my book, The Oddball Chronicles, for 99 cents. Or if you like the paperback, $8.99. Support a starving author. I would greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. But hopefully I'll be back soon with another album review. Been listening to some more projects, so like I said, as I feel fit to talk about the music I'm listening to, I'll be back as soon as I can. Bring them to y'all. Keep spreading the good music around. That's pretty much all I do this for, man. I just want to put people on some dope stuff that maybe they didn't know about. But Little Simz, Gray Area, give that joint a listen because it's fire. But I'm your host, Serial Sensei. This has been another episode of the Sounds Like Fun podcast. And until next time, I will catch you guys later.